and the feedback that I heard from Alex as she was continuing to vet Sam. This is an opportunity that is long overdue for Sam. He's had opportunities in the past for head coaching positions, but was waiting for the right fit. And fortunately for us in Houston, here we are today. From several people, we heard that sadly this is OL Reign's loss, but we in Houston are the beneficiaries. So I'm very pleased to welcome Sam, and looking forward to the season ahead. So welcome, Sam.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you for that. We'll continue with Alex.
Thank you, Ted. And good morning, everybody. I'm very, very excited to officially introduce our new head coach of the Houston Dash, Sam Laity. This day marks a moment and opening a new chapter for this club, one, as Ted mentioned, that took a process, a very, very thorough process that I was dedicated to in finding the right fit for our club, for this team, for our players, for the future of this organization. It's no secret that 2022 was a year and a season full of both change and evolution for this club, both on and off the field. Under the leadership of Ted and of Jess O'Neill, the Dash made strides on and off the field. Coaching changes, an evolving league, in very interesting circumstances. This group stuck together through thick and thin, and together made history on the field. We created an identity together. The players created an identity with different coaches, with different leadership. They were able to maintain this. And through that, we achieved tremendous results. The players of this team and our roster is not only resilient, but brave. Important to me through this process was to understand exactly what was needed to not only meet those performances that we had last year, but to surpass them and look forward to a championship. With that in mind, it was important to find somebody who I thought would genuinely be able to connect with this group and bring out the best in them. Looking forward, giving the players stability and structure, knowing they had been through so many changes, was also a priority. Finding someone who spoke the same language as we do as a club, what our identity is, what our values are, and looking ahead with our ambition in mind. Tactically, culturally, ultimately what we needed is, and what we need is, a foundational structure and a deep-rooted passion for success. This is where Sam comes in. Sam not only brings a wealth of knowledge and experience from his time in this league, 10 seasons, he has seen this league from the very beginning, the ups, the downs, the good, the bad, and the ugly. He has both the technical and tactical experience to lead the style of play that we want to see here in Houston and lead the tremendously talented group of women to a championship. Even more importantly, as Ted pointed out, was our work and our homework through our due diligence that we did, and what I learned about Sam along the way. Beyond his talent as a coach was the validation from so many people, influential people in this league and across this sport. Yes, Sam has seen the league evolve through the years, but he knows the nuances of the league as well, and those that this league come along with. He has experienced firsthand the failures and successes, but he's also observed what it takes to be successful, what is necessary to win in different circumstances, different environments, different atmospheres, different markets in this league, and in every situation you can find yourself in. And in this league, that can mean a lot of different things. With our goal of winning a championship, all of these things were invaluable, and the things that I learned about Sam along the way. But as I said, I was also able to learn about Sam as a person, a well-respected coach that players and colleagues and very influential people across our league and sport spoke so highly about with glowing recommendation. The head coach is obviously a very prominent role, and this was a monumental decision for this club, given the changes that have taken place, not only here, but through our league this year. There were a lot of different considerations, and again, this was a decision that was supported by the extensive work we did as a group behind the scenes to ensure that we are hiring the best possible individual for this position. Sam not only brings his soccer pedigree, but respect and support from everybody around this league. Not only that, Sam does have championship experience, something we definitely need as part of our group if it's something we aspire to. He spent 10 seasons in Seattle and served under 3 very prominent head coaches, different coaches as well. He has proven he's adaptable to change, he's consistent, and most of all, reliable. For me, that's huge. In terms of successes, Sam has helped the Reign reach the postseason 6 times, winning the Shield 3 times, as Ted mentioned. Thinking holistically about our club, and not only how success is created, but how culture and identity is built and also sustained, we want a coach who brings out the best, not only in the players that we have, but also in his staff and the development of our staff here. This means both for the immediate future of this club in the 2023 season, but also for the years to come. We're laying down the foundation together, day one, starting together, not only to bring out the best to Houston, but to cultivate that here ourselves within this group. And Sam will be a huge part of that moving forward. His experience in coaching education proves that he's continuing not only to develop himself, but that of other coaches. And as I mentioned, that's what we want to do. Bring the best here, but also cultivate that here with our own talent. With all of that in mind, I am elated to officially welcome Sam Laity to the Dash, and please join me in a warm welcome for our new head coach, Sam Laity.
Oh, thank you very much. It's the first time I've felt this tall in a very, very long time. So appreciate you guys setting this up for me. I'm going to start with a couple of thank yous. And at first it goes back to my former club, OO Reign. Without a shadow of a doubt, there is no way I would be sat in this privileged position I am today were it not for the trust and support and relationships of Bill and Teresa Predmore, who were the original founders of Seattle Reign, and especially Laura Harvey. As Alex said and Ted said, I've been in the league for 10 seasons with that club, and obviously the changing of the brand to OO Reign. So first thing you have to do is acknowledge their support and their guidance in getting me to the position where I am today. So thank you very much to Bill, Teresa Predmore, and everybody at OO Reign. And that even extends to the players as well. I've worked with so many world-class players that, as Ted had mentioned, and without a shadow of a doubt, there's been massive learning opportunities for me as well. So thanks to everybody really at OO Reign, whether it was a staff member, whether it was a player, or especially the fans. So kudos and thank you very much to them. Secondly, Alex, Jessica, Ted, thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm humbled, grateful, but not satisfied. One of the reasons why I'm sat here today is I'm ambitious, and I want to win. And I think that most relationships in life that are successful are the ones that involve compatibility. And what was very, very clear from day one in my initial conversations with Alex, and then later with Jessica and Ted, was that our values were aligned, and that was really, really important for me. As it's been noted a number of times, having been in a club like Seattle and where success was expected, and that was winning championships, which we weren't, they weren't. I'm going to have to change my terminology there. They were not successful in achieving, but making the postseason on those occasions and unfortunately losing the final number of occasions. It's putting me in a great position to see what has worked and what hasn't worked. And for me to have left that organisation where the demands and the expectations are that we win today and win tomorrow, it is very, very, very beneficial for me to be here and experience this challenge with the Houston Dash.
Thank you for that. We'll start with questions now. We'll begin here with Mark Berman. If you guys have questions, please raise your hand. We'll go to Jason next. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Okay. A couple of questions. First of all, Sam, how would you define, I'm Mark Berman from Fox, how would you define what this day is like for you?
What this day is like for me?
Yes.
A bit overwhelming, actually. Yeah, I'm used to I've been 10 years as an assistant, and a short period of time as an interim head coach. So I spend most of the time behind the screen and behind the curtain. So not overwhelming, but fascinating, exciting. It's really been a dynamic couple of days that for myself and my family. And obviously we've been in discussions now for a number of weeks, and it really, really hit home on Sunday when we were packing our bags that, this is actually happening. So that was definitely take a deep breath moment. And obviously I've lived in Seattle for 22 years now. This was my next step was always going to be very, very big. So the next step for me had to be the right step, and I think the relationship and the connection that we have already is proven that I'm in the right place, and that waiting for a position like this and not jumping into a position because I wanted to be a head coach, having that patience is serving well. So I'm ecstatic. I'm very, very excited. If we could start training tomorrow, I would do that, but that's against. It's not the right thing to do, but I'd like to do that. Yeah.
Against the rules.
Dan, how important a moment is this for your franchise?
It's a very important moment. I think it's the next step in the progression that we've been making as an organization. Mark, as you and others are well aware, I think we as new ownership are devoting the resources that the Dash deserve. And that started earlier this year with the hiring of Jess as president, bringing on Alex as general manager, and this is sort of the culmination of the series of hires that we needed to make and that are going to elevate this club to greater heights in the years ahead.
Jason?
Jason Bristol from KHOU. I think this one is probably more for Alex. The players in this league now have a greater voice on so many fronts than they ever have. Did you lean on any of the players during this process of finding a new head coach?
Yes. So, we had extensive exit meetings at the end of the season, of course, and what was important for me was to gather as much information as possible about what we needed in our next head coach. And we also had a list of non-negotiables and priorities from our players that were really the drivers in how I navigated my discussions with initial candidates and those initial conversations. I did have discussions with various players throughout the process as well, but it was important, I think, collectively first to start with a plan, and that started with the feedback I had, kind of knowing exactly where to start and how to navigate, like I said, and then those priorities and non-negotiables.
And Sam, I imagine sometimes you talk about fit, and they've talked about fit. Sometimes head coaches, when they come to a situation, you're coming to a losing team.
Yeah.
The fact that this is a winning one and where it finished in the table, was that part of this great fit?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's a really good question. And actually, part of the conversation I had a Zoom yesterday with players. One of the first things that I brought up on the call was the whatever you did as a team, as a group of players, from a cultural perspective, from a leadership perspective, from a spirit perspective, whatever you did last year, having gone through the experience of 3 head coaches, that's our starting block for 2023. I'm not a magician, 2 arms, 2 legs. I'm not going to come in with some magic dust, right? So for me, really, really tying that into the foundation for 2023 and then future success. And in fact, in our early conversations before I'd actually officially had my first interview, I'd spoken to a number of players around the Dash organisation, a number of people that have played here, and players that some people were starters, some people were on the bench, some people were not making the squad. And what was a very unique moment for me was not one member of that playing or technical staff had anything poor to say about the club. Nothing, except for the weather in July and August. Full disclosure. But that, for me, having been in the league for so long, and it's a very small league, right? There are no secrets in the league. For me to hear that over 4 or 5 different players in different sort of hierarchical circumstances, for them to all say only positive things about the club and the culture and the leadership, that was a massive, massive tick for me, because you need that, right? You have to have that. You have to have that spirit in the locker room. You have to have that culture in the locker room. And my job is to come in and evolve that, not more of an evolution as opposed to revolution. It would be silly of me to come in and break that down because I've got an ego and I'm a new head coach and I want to show everyone what I can do. So I'm going to be leaning on the players a lot. I'll be leaning upon the staff and the leadership a lot, and collaborating and trying to continue the positive things about the culture and add different layers to it. And I think part of that is a winning mentality, especially at home. It's a great question. Thank you.
We'll go to Sam here in the back.
Welcome to Houston. Sam, my name is Sam too.
All right, very good.
So, you know, say,
That's right, easy to remember.
Africa Sports Network. Yes, I have this taking this thing in sense that I have a national team player playing here, Michelle Alozie. My question is this: you spent almost a decade, over a decade with Royal Reign.
Yeah.
How easy or difficult was it for you to make the decision to switch from there, because there is like a family, a household,
Yeah.
to come to Houston?
Massive, Sam, huge. Yeah, and I touched on this just now. The next step in my personal journey, the next step in my professional development, had to be the right one. There had been a sort of touch of other opportunities in the past, but just didn't feel right. Whether it was leadership, whether it was squad, whether it was culture of the club, whether it was the ambition. So really, really challenging, yeah. And again, I think I said just now, it didn't really hit me and us until we started packing our bag to come down for this trip. It's like, yeah, this is really happening, yeah.
And like that one, during the league last season, the Dash got a better part of the rain. I believe we are, in the dugout when that happened. Did that factor into you coming to this team that got a better part of the rain?
Yeah, another good question. So, typically you experience the opponent as an opponent, right? You go there with a desire to win and try and beat them, right? Try and get one up on them. I came down with the rest of the ORA staff for the quarter-final game against Kansas City, and I got a chance to see that as a different lens. So seeing the packed stadium, seeing the kids, the families, the mums, the dads, brothers, sisters, grandpas, everybody in Dash gear, that was a surprise, to be quite honest with you, and need to keep that up for 2023, by the way. That was a huge surprise. So to see and experience the club from the lens as a fan at that point, because I was a fan at that point, gave me a really, really unique opportunity. And I will say this as well, and how we were treated, so how we were treated by the club, coming down as a rival team to scout the game that we would play against one of the team that was successful. How we were treated, how we were greeted at the stadium, how we were moved through the stadium to our location in the stadium to watch the game, that really stood out to me. That was another tick in the box. John Wooden once said, "Little things make big things happen," right? And that was something that really, really, really stood out for me. So a number of layers that start pointing me down south to a much, much warmer climate than I am in at the moment. Although not at the moment, obviously. So to answer your question bluntly, it was very, very challenging. It was very exciting. And, can't wait to get going. Yeah, thank you.
I think we'll wrap up here with Grant. Go ahead.
Hi, Grant from Keeper Notes. Sam, I was wondering if you could talk about how the game has changed in the 10 years that you've been in the league.
How long do we have? It's, professionalism, number one. Ownership, that. And we were having this conversation with Alex last night. In fact, actually, it was with Ted, apologies, about OO Reign and Seattle Reign, how we ended up with the players that we had there. And initially, the first part was that we were a destination club, not because we were winning, but we were a destination club because how we treated players. And that there was a positive culture around the league. And obviously, in the sort of inception of the NWSO in 2013, the standards sort of, I wouldn't say for every club, but league-wide were pretty poor, and the players were put through were exposed to some pretty poor resources and poor standards. So, so for the Reign, I think we always recognised this as a club that looked to do the right things for the players, even if it was something as simple as, providing lunches, right, and taking care a little bit more when it comes to things like travel. Them becoming a destination club just because of the way that they've treated players is sort of sad, really. to think that they stood out because of that. I think, obviously, of course, the quality of life and the lifestyle there was different. Laura Harvey, I think, was and still continues to be a big draw for players, and rightly so. So I've seen the professionalism improve dramatically. We've obviously seen resources improve. I think we've seen the standard improve, and obviously through expansion now we've got 4 more teams than we had in 2013, and I think that's very positive. And 2 more teams joining in 23 or 24. In 24, and then just the exposure as well. The exposure for the league. It's so pleasing for me to see now that players are recognised for who they are as human beings, but also the value that they bring to the sport and they bring to the communities. Players that have been in the league for 10 years. For our reign, it was Fishlocks, the Rapinos, the Lauren Barneses. There are plenty others around the league, and so it's really pleasing to see the evolution of the league, so that players can spend time and dedicate their life to their craft and to a sport that they love to play, because it wasn't always possible back then. Obviously, the next change is VAR next season, so let's see how that goes. But it's been a positive evolution for sure. I think the league is perhaps stronger than people think it is. Yeah, so it's been an evolution, yeah. And I'll tell you this, my hair wasn't grey when I started in 2013. So you can blame that on the NWSL.
One follow-up, looking at your deeper experience in Seattle and kind of the soccer community in Seattle for, it sounds like 20 years.
Yeah.
Have you started to talk about that wider community in Houston?
No, actually, not yet. No, I think in the past 48 hours, I think I've met about 150 people. I remembered about 6 names, which is a positive for me. But there have been so many. This trip has really been designated towards this event, the media yesterday, the photo shoot yesterday, and then here today. So and then more sort of business stuff, but not really. We haven't really got into the weeds in terms of that stuff. But that I know how important that is to a club. I know how important that is to the community and having a connection between the club and the community. One of the things I probably enjoyed the most about my opportunity one of the things I perhaps enjoyed the most about my position as an assistant was that we could do special things for younger players and bring them out to training. We can surprise them now and again with a jersey and things like that, because those are creating that connection with the fan base, whether it's young or old, is really, really important, and hoping something that we can all look to improve on in Houston. Yeah.
Good way to close there. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We're going to do a quick photo, and then everyone on the stage will be available for one-offs here shortly. Thanks again.